is the Monday, July 1st, 2024 meeting of the City of Chattanooga Industrial Development Board. I'd like to go ahead and call our meeting to order and note that we have a quorum present and this meeting was duly advertised. Our first order of business is the election of officers for the next year, chair, vice chair, secretary, and assistant secretary. At this time, I'll open the floor for nominations for the role of chair.
I'll nominate Carrie Hayes.
Been a nomination for me to continue as chair for one more year. Is there a
I'll
second?
second the motion.
We have a second. Thank you very much. All in favor of that, please say aye.
Aye.
I am honored to continue to serve. Thank you very much. For the role of vice chair, I will hear nominations.
I'd like to nominate Althea Jones.
Nomination for Ms. Jones to continue as vice chair. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a second for that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Congratulations, Ms. Jones. For the role of secretary, I will hear a nomination. Currently held by,
Who's currently?
Gordon.
You?
Gordon.
I nominate Gordon Parker.
all right, we have a nomination for Mr. Parks to continue to serve in that capacity. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second for that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? And for assistant secretary, which I believe is currently Mr. Floyd, that's right. Happy to hear a nomination for him to serve in absentia. If there's another person in mind, please let me know.
Well, he's not here to object, so I'm going to nominate Jim Floyd.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
And all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you very much. Moving on, are the members, the minutes from our June 3rd meeting are in your packet. Please feel free to peruse those, and if you have any questions or comments, please let me know. When you're ready, I'll hear a motion to approve those.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Minutes are approved. At this time, I'm happy to recognize any members of the public who would like to step forward and address this board on any topic of your choosing. Going once, twice, three times. Thank you very much. Item number 6 on our agenda is a presentation of the Volkswagen Funding Progress Summary and the Economic Development Program Summary by Ms. Liu. Good morning.
Good morning, members of the board, Ms. Chair. The first report I present is the VW progress report. I'm happy to report there's no transactions. For the past 3-4 months, there's just nothing. Okay, so everything stands still, and we're still at 98.95%. First MOU still have about $53,000 left to spend. Second MOU, about $451,000 left to spend. And the third MOU, the letter of intent from city and county, have $5 million. That's still outstanding, have nothing spent on it yet. The next report is the Economic Development Program Summary. For that one, we just really zoom into the NR14 funds in the middle of the page, because that $2 million, $2,057,000, that cash balance is the one undesignated available for the board to spend. The rest of the cash balance already have intended purposes.
Okay.
The third report is the TIF report. For calendar year 2023, the tax increment payments came in from city and county to the IDB board, and I received them, and I turned around, gave it back to the developer. So to date, for the 3 TIFs we received payments on and turned over to the developer in a total dollar amount of $6 million. That dollar amount is on the last column, last corner of the right corner of the report. And that particular report is from since the inception. It's not just for this fiscal year. This concludes my report. If you have any questions for me?
Thank you, Eleanor. Any questions from anybody about any of these reports?
Just, if you don't mind, on the first, second, and third MOU that still has a balance, and I know we've had 0 transactions, is that, how long has it had 0 transactions? Will these eventually be just cleared, or is there still pending work left on these?
I'm on the receiving end of the transactions, so if nothing is spent, I don't see anything. I think probably Bill Payne may be able to assist in answering the question for the spending progress for the first MOU, second MOU.
Yes. So there is a small amount of money that's left from both the first and second MOUs together. Volkswagen has been continuing to look at some projects that would fit within that scope of work so that we can continue to do that. Matter of fact, our project manager was actually out meeting with them today, talking about they have some different options for what they can, for some things that might be eligible. Typically, though, they all have to fit within a certain category of project, so that's a lot of what happens is they're trying to find, it's only around, it's under $350,000 or so, so it has to be a fairly small project because we can't bundle it and add 2 additional dollars, so it has to be something that can be standalone on itself, unless there was, because currently we don't have any other dollars to put with it, and we can't match it with Volkswagen's dollars unless they were to bring those dollars to the IDB and ask us to spend their money on their behalf. So right now we're just trying to identify a smaller project.
Thanks, Paul. Any other questions on any of these pending? Okay, no resolution on that one, so I think we're all set. Thanks very much, Eleanor. One of our 2 resolutions today, item number 7, HomeServe Pilot, a resolution authorizing the chair or vice chair to execute a right of entry on a temporary basis for certain real property located at 7134 Lee Highway, identified as tax map number 139PC007 for the purposes of conducting surveying, subsurface soil investigation, and property appraisal to obtain a new sanitary sewer easement related to the HomeServe Pilot property. Hi.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Bill Payne, I'm the city engineer for Chattanooga. I'll just give a brief reasoning behind the project, and then Elizabeth Goss is the project manager for us on the project, and she's going to provide some additional details. But generally speaking, this is part of the E2I2 project, which is one of the IDB's projects. And so there is a new line that needs to go in that would cross a portion of the HomeServe property. But they have some permeable pavement that's on that property, and so these investigations are needed in order to make sure that we're not going to wind up causing damage to that in the work that needs to be done. But Elizabeth can provide some additional detail on how this fits into the larger scope.
Good morning. As Bill discussed, this is part of the E2I2 project. The city-owned parcel on St. Stephen's Place, which is across of Lee Highway, is where we will have our pump station diversion structure. That's where we will siphon that wet weather flow, and we need to get it back to our parcel, which is on Lee Highway. And the practical way to do this is to come through the HomeServe property, which lies adjacent to the city property on Lee Highway. A part of this is for the appraisal process, and that will also include a potential for a future permanent access agreement, because again, this HomeServe property is the easiest way that we can access our property due to the topography and the presence of the creek that we have to cross.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Elizabeth, does this have anything to do with anything HomeServe has done or is doing?
No.
Okay.
We are going to them or to you all to ask for this permission.
And I guess Elizabeth, the lawyer, wants to know, have we notified the tenant, which is
Yes.
HomeServe? Okay.
So we have actually dealt with Mr. Ty Edwards and HomeServe. We met with them several times. They've given us some homework, questions asked, and we've kind of worked with them. This is kind of the last step. They're really worried about their parking lot. They want to make sure it can stand the test of time. And to do that, we need that engineering study.
How long does a study take? I'm just curious.
We'll go out there, it'll be one day, and then they'll go back to the lab and study it. So we should get it back pretty soon. The appraisal process will probably take a month and a half just for the appraisers to go out there and really put pen to paper, because we've gone back with HomeServe several times, kind of talking about different things that we can maybe agree to. One of those being ensuring that we can get them access the whole way through construction.
Okay, so HomeServe is aware.
Yes, they
They're cool
are.
with it. We've got a plan for how long it's going to take. Any other questions related to this one, folks? If not, I'm happy to hear a motion to authorize this.
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, resolution passes. Thank you guys very much. Second resolution on our agenda, item number 8, related to the South Broad District Plan. Resolution of the Board of Directors of the IDB with respect to an amendment to an economic impact plan for the South Broad District Plan area as amended by the Council of the City of Chattanooga. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Jermaine Freeman, Chief of Staff for the City of Chattanooga. So at our last meeting of the Industrial Development Board, I believe that this body took action to create an amendment to the Economic Impact Plan for the South Broad Stadium project that would allow the new financing structure that was approved by both the City Council and the County Commission to move forward. During the process of the City Council adopting their resolution for the amendment to the Economic Impact Plan, the City Council wanted to change one paragraph that was in the amendment to specify and to call out the fact that there would be a certain level of debt service protection for the city throughout the TIF. So what is coming back to you all is just an acknowledgement of the fact that the City Council made its own amendment to the amendment, basically to allow for the city's capture and protection of debt service revenues throughout the time of the TIF. And again, that was one paragraph that they basically changed, which basically reads, notwithstanding the foregoing and the provisions of section 6 below, the city percentage as defined below, irrespective of the amount of city property taxes allocated to debt service, shall not be less than 25%, provided that the chief financial officer of the city is directed pursuant to Tennessee Code annotated 923-103 subsection G to establish the debt service amount in a manner such that the debt service amount would not exceed 25% if permitted by applicable law. So again, this is just an amendment to the amendment that the City Council wanted to put in to make sure that the portion of revenue that is protected that will continue to flow to the city's general fund during the TIF, that is protected at the 25% threshold.
Okay.
So that's what this is.
And just for my edification, our role here is what exactly?
You all are being asked, because of the way that the Economic Impact Plan is written, you all are being asked to acknowledge the City Council's amendment to your amendment so that we can all move forward and keep the project rolling.
And this body has to pass the economic plan here to be
Yes.
effective on your impact plan.
Does this go back to council? Are we the last stop on the train? Or are we?
You're the last stop on the train for this.
Okay. Questions about this one from anybody? If there are none, I'm happy to hear a motion to go ahead and approve this resolution.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Ma'am,
I'll make a motion.
we have a motion from Nadia. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Atkins. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. The resolution passes. Thanks, Jermaine.
Thank you.
I should mention, the groundbreaking for this project is Monday, the 15th of July, next Monday. No, I'm sorry. Is that right? Next Monday.
2 weeks.
2 weeks from now.
2 weeks from
I
today.
apologize. Monday, the 15th of July, 10:30 a.m. I unfortunately will not be able to be there, but I do strongly encourage any of my fellow IDB members, if you can attend, please be there. That would not be happening without our support, so. Want to mention that. Thank you, Mr. Freeman. That concludes our resolutions. Under other business, we've got 2 items for discussion. One regarding the pilot policies and procedures. I believe we have someone from the chamber here to bring us up to speed on what's happening with that.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Jermaine Freeman once again. So I would like to give everyone, make sure that everyone gets an update on where the conversations with the pilot policies have been, and to get a status update from Adam Myers, who is the Vice President of Economic Development from the Chamber of Commerce. We had hoped to actually bring forth the draft of the policies today, but Adam and the Chamber have been having some pretty robust and meaningful conversations with City Council And we anticipate those conversations will continue, so I wanted to give him a chance to update the board, and then we can talk about next steps. Adam?
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for having me here today. Again, Adam Myers, I'm the Vice President of Economic Development at the Chattanooga Area Chamber. And following up from the last IDB meeting, which I believe was in March, when we had some of these conversations about our pilot policies, we've really been taking a look at the policies that we have presented in partnership with Jermaine and the city staff and administration. And what we did is taking the feedback from this IDB board of saying, how has city council felt about these policies? We've had a number of conversations with many city council members to garner some feedback and garner what they would like to see in the policies. Much like this board, they definitely want to see a focus on target industry specific in order to be able to delegate authority for IDB to approve pilot policies without having to go back through city council approval. And so what we've taken a look at are our target industry focuses in our Climbs Higher strategic plan that we did craft in partnership with the city as well as the county. And we also took a look at some of the state's target industries too, to make sure that we're really aligned there. And so we really focused on manufacturing, that's focused on manufacturing of automotive vehicles and parts, machinery and robotics, outdoor products, specialty food, aviation and aerospace manufacturing, which is a key target industry for the state, medical devices and pharmaceuticals, so you're looking at your life sciences sector, and then operations using very advanced manufacturing processes, which often lead to higher average wages, which was another concern that council wanted to make sure that we were focused on, also lifting up the average wages in the community. We also are looking at professional services, including freight services, financial services, and creative media, as well as software and information technology. These would be typically your office type of projects. And then we also took a look at headquarters for relocation, expansion, and retention of international, national, and primary regional headquarters of established companies. So really making sure that we're going to be competitive on a corporate headquarters standpoint. Additionally, we took a look at in our strategic plan and had identified future technologies as well as part of this target industry. So looking at things like quantum computing, as well as electric vehicle and parts manufacturing, biomedical, and also circular and clean tech economy. So looking at more of your green economy, as well as smart city technology and industrial design, engineering, and robotics technologies. So those are the target industries that we're really thinking of focusing in on the pilot policies. Another feedback that we also got from council so far, and we have not talked to all council members yet, is really putting a cap on how much authority the IDB has to approve in a given year. So we are really exploring that right now, seeing what a potential cap could look like, but continuing to work with city council on that process. And that's where it really leads us into next steps. We want to make sure that our matrix is set up to where it is not only encouraging the investment and really focused on these target industries, but we're also encouraging investment in disadvantaged areas and awarding points for that, making sure that we have a cap established for what that will look like for projects and for the IDB's authority. And then I will pass it back to Jermaine, who will talk about really next steps of where we're headed to garner additional council feedback and making sure that we have their full support to be able to bring back a formal policy to the board.
Thank you. So I think from here, council has given us a couple of homework assignments. And so we are now working with the chamber to make sure that we can answer whatever outstanding questions they have. And then what we would like to do is to work with council to establish a meeting with city council members so that there can be sort of an open discussion and review of their recommendations and their feedback with regards to this policy. I do want to make something very clear, though, as we talk about the policy and what the policy means. The city of Chattanooga currently does not have any existing policy regarding pilots, jobs pilots at all. We do have existing policies for projects that are related to affordable housing pilots, which this body doesn't see because those projects come before the city's Health, Education, and Housing Facilities Board. But we do not and have never had, to my knowledge, a policy regarding jobs pilots. And so what we are not asking for the city council to give up its ability to review pilots. We are simply saying, hey, in working with the Chattanooga Chamber of Commerce, which receives an appropriation from the city council in our budget every year, and which is a trusted economic development partner, are there certain types of key industries that the council is comfortable delegating responsibility to this board for if we can all agree that these are key industries that we are trying to recruit to the city of Chattanooga, grow within the city of Chattanooga, and if these projects meet certain prescribed investment and job creation thresholds. And I think what the chamber has been working with the administration on is seeing if the council has an appetite to say like, hey, yes, we can all agree that since the chamber is our trusted partner and there are certain key industries that we are pursuing, we are comfortable that if there are projects within those key industries that meet certain prescribed investment and job creation thresholds, we are comfortable with the IDB reviewing those up to a cap, which Adam just mentioned. And so the council, obviously, their role does not go away in this because they would have ultimate veto power over which industries and projects would sort of fit within this delegation resolution that the chamber is recommending. Any pilot project that comes how better way to say this, any company that comes to the city and is seeking a pilot that would not fall within this prescribed threshold or within this target industry sector would still come before city council as well as the county commission for pilot approval the way that they currently do. So that would not change. And so I just want to make sure that that's clear to everyone, that the city council's role is not going away here. They're simply saying, we are simply asking them, hey, are there some target industries that you all can agree with the administration can move the ball down the field when it comes to economic development in Chattanooga, that you trust that the IDB can approve if these are target industries that we can all agree on. And so with that, the last thing I want to say is that we will just continue to work with the council to make sure that we can get a meeting scheduled to make sure that we can have sort of a public discussion about the pilot policies so that everyone is clear. But with that, I'll take any questions.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Freeman. And just to kind of quickly recap the process as I understand it at this point, the council has requested a committee or an economic development committee meeting or something to have a look at the draft as it currently stands or the conceptual framework or whatever you want to call it. Is that what they're wanting to engage on?
Well, the council has, I think, given the chamber some feedback that they would like for the chamber to investigate. And I think that we would ask the council if they would be okay with having a meeting either in an economic development committee or a strategic planning session to sort of have a robust discussion over the policies, which is what we did similar with the new housing policies.
Yeah, that's fair. So
Yeah.
sort of workshop to kind of go, and then presumably, depending on how that meeting goes, this could come back to us as something for us to consider in a more formal way to
Yeah.
either recommend or not recommend to them. Is that
Yes.
my understanding of the timeline? Okay.
Yes.
So at this point, our next meeting is obviously the first full Monday in October, which is the 7th or 8th or something like that. I mean, August, I apologize.
August, right.
And then September, we've got the Labor Day weekend to contend with. So I'm just kind of running through that out loud. So this could be moving a little bit deeper into the fall, whenever this could come back to our court, right?
I believe that that's true.
Okay.
We'll just have to coordinate it with city council. Yes.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that they want a full view into what this could look like for them, because I know those implications are significant. And I appreciate, Mr. Myers, very much the chamber's focus on these target industries. I mean, I think I've been saying for a long time, I think that's really important, and I appreciate that that's where y'all are trying to focus this. So I understand this isn't an item for action. I do want to hear any other questions or comments that my fellow members might have about this, because I know this has been something that's been kind of coming off and on our agenda for a while, but if we're getting a structure in place to have it dealt with, I think that's great, but certainly don't want to curtail the discussion. So any questions from anybody about what's happening at this point?
Mr. Chairman. Mr. Freeman, is it still the plan to hold off on requesting or presenting any new requests for pilots until these policies get implemented?
I don't know that we've ever committed to that, but realistically, we've never had a policy, and so let's say that a project came before us tomorrow that wanted a pilot. That, because there is no policy, a project would then be heard before the city council and before the county commission. So if it were the city council's will to hear a presentation and to hear a resolution, they would have the ability to do that. And so, again, because we don't have a policy in place, I do think that if a project came before, approached the city and the county and said, like, hey, we're interested in expanding in Chattanooga, we are requesting incentives, here's what that incentive structure looks like, that then comes before the city council and the county commission for review. And ultimately, they have the authority to decide whether or not to review that.
Well, I mean, my concern where I'm coming from is I know when we started into this process, I think back last fall,
Right.
I understood, and I think the minutes would reflect, there was a representation that no pilots would be brought before us until this got resolved. And I think that's still important because this is taking a while and for good reason, don't get me
Sure.
wrong.
Sure.
But at the same time, I think the public needs to know this is going to continue to be a process that isn't going to surprise anyone with something in the interim period of time, because we don't have to, I mean, we could put something in place
Yeah.
and amend it. We don't necessarily have to have this ultimate product in place. There could be amendments to it. So that's
true.
what's concerning me from the timeline.
Yeah. Well, I am not aware of any projects that are in the hopper right now. And so I think, as we continue to move forward through this process, I do feel confident that we can get this process resolved and have a policy that we can put in place within the next couple of months. And again, I don't know of any projects that are in the hopper right now anyway. So that may all work out just in terms of timing.
I appreciate that, Mr. Rogers.
Thank you.
Good point. Any other questions about the pilot policy process? Well, Mr. Freeman, I guess just keep us in the loop about when the council plans to meet on this, just as a situational awareness for us would be helpful to know. I assume that'll be sometime this month.
Yes.
And we will wait to hear more as that process unfolds.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Ms. Liu, I think we get you back at the podium to talk about the letter we got from the comptroller last month.
Yes, okay. To recap, the reason we received the letter from the State Comptroller Office was because we presented in our last year's financial report a negative or deficit of net position. That is due to a interest payment payable recorded. We currently have 3 TIFs that we're receiving tax increment revenue on. One of the 3 is the DuPont TIF. That also, city gave IDB a loan of $4 million. And per the loan agreement, there's a 3.5% interest that is due. And per the schedule of payment, loan agreement, city is supposed to receive the interest payment before the principal payment. All of that's fine, except the payment received so far is about $20,000 a year for the past 4 years. Every year we'll receive from combined city and the county $20,000 a year. But for the past 2 years, the interest payment alone is over $140,000 a year. Therefore, I recorded a interest payable. And that's what triggered the negative net position. And the state really liked for us to eliminate that. So to try to resolve the problem, we had a meeting with our CFO, Ms. Majid, and also our interim deputy CFO, Brian Smart, and with our TIF attorney, Mr. Mantoff, and also our external auditor, West Porter. Friday we had a meeting, and it was discussed that the accounting treatment could be changed due to the loan itself is a non-course loan, non-course transaction. So both the principal and the interest payment do not have to be recorded on the face of the financial statement. Should be a disclosure in the note section. Pretty much everybody agreed to that, but our external auditor, Western Porter, still wants to review the Knox County IDB, their financial report, to see how they report their TIF. So we're just waiting on the final word from Western.
Okay.
Should come maybe next couple weeks.
Okay. So just so I understand, sounds like there's just a little bit of disagreement about the timing with which some of these things were recorded, but we're trying to see if there's some best practices around consistency.
More like the position of where this information gets disclosed.
Okay.
Whether on the main body of the financial statement or the note section.
That's fair. I don't mean to put words in your mouth. I'm just trying to make sure I
Okay.
understand. So maybe we'll have this back for a recap discussion next month. I mean, I don't mind to leave it on here as long as you're continuing to figure it out. I just want to make sure it's
Yes.
satisfactorily addressed.
Actually, today's July 1st, so we already started a new fiscal year, and I must close last year. So for my benefit, I really want to get this resolved, so I know how to close my year. So for sure, I'm pretty confident that we should have a final word on this next meeting.
Okay. Other questions about that? Yes, sir.
Yeah, Eleanor, anything that we need to add to the notes here? It looks like that was what they were concerned about. I wasn't sure, do we need to add something more?
In the note section, I will just, if we agree to all of that, and our external auditor agrees that, I will remove that interest payment I recorded. I will remove that from the financial statement.
Okay.
But have that total dollar amount, put it in the note section.
Okay. So that looked like that was what they were asking about
Yes,
in the
they-
report.
Yeah, all they just want us to eliminate it.
Okay, all right. And we can do that for the coming year based upon what you learned, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And Eleanor, the comptroller's office isn't pressuring us or you guys to respond to them as I see it. It's just a matter of future reporting.
Looks that way from the language. It just ask us to eliminate that, and we for sure will.
Okay.
But we do owe them a response in writing of some kind, right? I mean, at some point, will this body need to take action on a letter or authorize some
Probably
sort
do
of?
because it sent it to the board of directors for the
Yeah.
IDB.
So I would look to the staff to make sure that gets prepared when you're ready, so that we can take action and just make sure that we responded to them in writing.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I mean, the way the last sentence says, you may also send a response to this letter after noting about future reports. I mean, I may be wrong, but I don't read it as though they're requiring a response.
Scott May.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's not to say we couldn't do it.
Always good for us to tell them we're thinking about them, though.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I think I
That's
would
true.
recommend.
Would agree.
Just to make sure that we've gotten back to them once we're ready to do so. So Eleanor, maybe by the time we have our next meeting, if you could have a draft of something that just sort of summarizes everything you've done, and we can have a look at it and prepare to send it. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I will do that.
Any other questions on this? I realize this one's a little complicated. Thank you, Eleanor. I know this has been a lot, but I appreciate the work. Any other items for discussion from this board?
Want to talk about that, or?
Yes, Mr. Rogers, did you want to talk about the home serve?
I just, for the record, I guess, for the minutes, want to note that I did have a concern about the home serve resolution to the extent that it's unclear from looking with the Tennessee Secretary of State's office, and I passed out a handout of a printout I did from the Secretary of State's office, which home serve entity that we are, as an IDB, are dealing with. There's 3 potential ones, and I was just concerned, seeing as Mr. Payne described it, nothing that they were here for purposes of the resolution had to do per se with home serve itself. I was certainly willing to let it go, but I am concerned to know when I see something like that, from a legal standpoint, it kind of raises a yellow flag of who in the world are we dealing with, which one of these entities? And so, hopefully to the extent HomeServe comes back before us, we can have that pinned down.
Yeah,
I went back and checked here, since I do have access to all of our documents that were involved. It took me a minute to get it to pull up on there, but we are actually dealing with HomeServe USA Corp. Out of Pennsylvania, which shows it is an active corporation here at this point in time out of 2009. And this was done, I guess Wade Hinton was the attorney for the board at the time it initially went down in 2017. And the county, Mr. Taylor, was the attorney for it, and they showed that there's a fellow named John Kitsey, who is the chief operating officer for HomeServe USA Corp., and they're out of Connecticut. So different corporations, but it is the HomeServe USA Corp. That is domiciled in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
thanks, Jimmy. Yeah. Maybe helpful when we have these come back in front of us, just if there's a note that can be made that, just to make sure the corporation's active and in good standing with the Secretary of State's office, just as a matter of protocol, but I do appreciate that. Maria, do you mind to read into the record, if you have in front of you, the dates of our next two meetings? Because I want everyone to be mindful of the Labor Day holiday.
August 5th and October 7th. Well, no, September 9th is the second Monday. So
Okay.
it's the weekend.
Monday, August the 5th, and Monday, September the 9th?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. Last thing I'd want to mention is to acknowledge Dave Flessner in the audience, a longtime season ticket holder to the IDB. Understand this will be his last meeting, at least in his capacity as a reporter for the Times Free Press. So thank you very much for everything you've done to help bring some transparency into what this board does. We appreciate it very much. Any other items for discussion today? If not, I'm glad to hear a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We stand adjourned.